Yes, indeed. Obviously, there were some, sort of feelings, I suppose, from local people, from foreign people abroad, who felt that we didn't have what it takes to host a special World Cup. And I think, as we stand now, and the World Cup's gone and left our shores, I think we can stand proudly and say that we hosted one of the best World Cups ever hosted in the world. And also being the first World Cup to be hosted on the African continent. I think South Africa did the continent of Africa very, very proud. And again, you look at the stadiums that we built, magnificent stadiums, and I've been lucky enough to play at some of the best and biggest stadiums around the world. But I think our stadiums here are the best. You've got 3 stadiums that are on the coastline. You don't find that anywhere else in the world. So from an infrastructure point of view, we really proved the people wrong. I think the most worrying factor was always going to be around crime and safety with foreigners coming to South Africa. Not one foreigner came into South Africa and complained. In fact, in interviews with foreign people who'd come into South Africa for the first time, their first visit into South Africa, they were saying they loved the country, and they were phoning friends and family back home to say that they should come to the World Cup. And these people came to the World Cup. We had almost 1 million people that came through to the World Cup, to the games and to our fan parks and that kind of thing. So really, I think at the end of the day, South Africa, we can be proud we hosted a fantastic World Cup. Performances around the World Cup, certainly Bafana, I think for me it was maybe mixed emotions, in the sense that I look at our first game against Mexico, brilliant performance. We felt that we've got what it takes to compete against the other teams. The third game against France, we were superb to beat a nation like France. Great performance. But of course, the second game, I think, set us back a lot with a 3-0 loss to Uruguay. That, for me, was the one that really kicked us out of the competition. So to become the first nation to go out in the group stages is not a good thing for South Africa and for Bafana. But I think we've learned valuable lessons from the World Cup, certainly. And I think those performances, for me, really were positive performances from the team in the end. For me, there were no missing links in the national team, and the players that played in the end for the national team. There could be 1 or 2 players who were not regular players in the World Cup, who you might have thought maybe should have played a lot more, but that's the coach's decision. But I think players who were there were the best players we had to represent us in the World Cup. Without a doubt, I think Pitso Mosimane is the right man for the job. He's proved it before. Everybody knows the great work he did at SuperSport United, and I was lucky enough to play under him as the coach at SuperSport United. He built his coaching career from his stay at SuperSport United, and he's a man that's really come a long way. Very experienced now in local coaching and national team coaching. He's been with the national team for a long time now, obviously as an assistant to Carlos Pereira, who he himself says he's learned a lot from, and I think he'll take that experience into the national team. I think Pitso can take the team forward to the next World Cup. I would just like to say the World Cup has come and gone now, and the one thing that stood out for me was the support of the nation for the national team. It has been phenomenal support, because I sat in the stands as a supporter myself of the national team. We saw the mirror socks on the car mirrors. We saw the flags out of the windows. We saw Football Fridays with people wearing the Bafana jersey. That for me was the support that really stood out for me, and I think we can be proud as supporters of the national team and of South Africa for the World Cup that we put on.
Okay, and the road to 2014?
The road to 2014 is going to be a long, difficult one for us, but I think the starting point for us is to qualify for the next African Nations Cup in 2012. We need to play on a big stage again so that we can prepare ourselves properly, certainly for 2014 and the campaign to qualify for 2014. It's going to be a difficult one. It's not easy as a team going into Africa and having to play under conditions in Africa, but I think we've got the team, we've got the right coach in charge to take us into these difficult conditions and qualify us for Brazil 2014.